Hello Squad Famz. Joining us again is Christina. Let's see if she can keep the funny up.
Hey guys, so I know none of what's going on is funny, but I like to laugh at stupid people. It's just a personality trait of mine. So, what's up with the president lately?
We don't need him. Freedom. He's a dictator. A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator. I don't like a dictator. I'm not a dictator. I'm a man with great common sense and I'm a smart person.
Ugh, I mean, the repetition in his speech is scary. There could be a good reason, dementia, anxiety, lack of attention, OCD, or maybe he's on the spectrum. At this point, the hypocrisy and the lack of self-awareness on his part is just laughable. I mean, I say it's laughable because you can't make any of this shit up. When children do what he does, they call it exopraxia if they're on the spectrum. And if they're not on the spectrum, they call it immaturity. Which one do you think our president is? And I use the term president lightly because what are we talking about? President of his own fan club, maybe? Because I don't know if you know this, but there's guidelines of what you need to be the president of the United States. Oh, you didn't know that? Okay, let's go over them. So, what you need to be the president of the United States. The president should adhere to ethical standards. Well, someone who was friends with a pedophile for 25 years? Okay, let's cross that one off the list. Let's move on. Next, acting with loyalty to the Constitution above private gains.
Your Secretary of State says everyone who's here, citizens and non-citizens, deserve due process. Do you agree, Mr. President?
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know.
Well, the Fifth Amendment says
I don't know.
It
might say that.
Don't you need to uphold the Constitution of the United States as president?
I don't know.
Well, since he doesn't know what the Constitution is, we'll just cross that one off the list too. Next. The next one is the president should have integrity. I couldn't even say that without laughing. Well, that's another one you could cross off the fucking list.
I don't have a piece of glass there. And I have this piece of glass here. But all we have really over here is the fake news, right? And to get me, somebody would have to shoot through the fake news. And I don't mind that so much, because I don't mind that.
And also, I mean, he's worried about going to heaven. So, that means he doesn't have too much integrity, right? Okay, the next one. The president should respect the system of checks and balances. Okay, now.
We begin in the United States, where the Supreme Court has issued a ruling that will limit the ability of federal judges around the country to block presidential orders. Now, the decision is seen as a significant win for President Donald Trump, whose policies have sometimes been blocked by federal courts. The case originates from Trump's efforts to limit birthright citizenship, in which babies born on American soil are automatically citizens of the United States. And President Trump called the decision a monumental victory and vowed to push forward with his policy agenda.
So thanks to this decision, we can now promptly file to proceed with these numerous policies and those that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis, including birthright citizenship, ending sanctuary city funding, suspending refugee resettlement, freezing unnecessary funding, stopping federal taxpayers from paying for transgender surgeries, and numerous other priorities of the American people.
Well, we could just cross that one off the list too, because if the check ain't made out to him, he don't know what it is. Oh, the next one. It says the president should be accountable. They should be held accountable for their actions. 34 felonies. and he didn't go to jail. And then all the lawsuits. Oh, okay. Just cross that one off the list. I'm sure we'll find one that pertains to him. Ooh, okay, maybe this one. Serving all people. The president's responsibility is to serve all the citizens of the United States, not just one specific political party.
You know what they are? They're a party of sound bites. Somebody asked me, can they be brought together? You know, I never thought, really, I wasn't thinking like they could, because they're very, very different. And it is the enemy from within, and they're very dangerous. They're Marxists and communists and fascists, and they're sick. I use a guy like Adam Schiff because they made up the Russia hoax. It took 2 years to solve the problem. Absolutely nothing was done wrong, et cetera, et cetera. They're dangerous for our country. We have China, we have Russia, we have all these countries. If you have a smart president, they could all be handled. The more difficult are, the Pelosi's, these people, they're so sick. And they're so evil. If they would spend their time trying to make America great again, it would be so easy to make this country great. But when I heard about that, they were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. But think of it. It's called weaponization of government. It's a terrible thing.
All right.
They're the threat to democracy.
Okay. So it's not that one either. Is there any more? No, that's the basic ones. I'm not making this up either, guys. I mean, you could search this on Google. And, Google knows everything. We use Google for everything in our lives. Alexa, Google search. What a great idea. Why don't we ask her? Gemini, can you change my president?
I understand your frustration with the current political climate. However, in the United States, presidents are elected through a democratic process, and there are specific legal procedures for impeachment or removal from office.
Of course not. And these are actual quotes, guys, by the president. I couldn't make them up if I wanted to. I could just imagine Steve Harvey waking up in the morning, putting on the news, seeing Donald Trump, and going, I wish I could be that laughable. And then laughing and pointing at the TV and saying, Dog, it's okay. I got more money than you, and I look better too. Okay, back to what I was talking about. Oh, look, a squirrel. Okay, those were the most important qualities of a president. And we're batting 0 out of 100 here, folks. But the funniest thing to me is that 77,302,580 people in the United States are morons. That means we have more morons in the United States than there's people on the island of Dominica. And if you don't know what Dominica is, it is a Caribbean island nation. Yeah, I say they're morons because they voted for Trump. Anyway, I'm in New York. Do you know what that means for me? Where 3,548,552 people voted for him. That means I have about a 41.8% chance of running into one of these mother humpers on the streets. Ugh, and my daughter wonders why I don't leave the house. My daughter lives in Indiana, by the way. And she asked me, don't you want to move over to Indiana? Because, you're old now. And I didn't know how to say in the most dramatic way when pigs fly. So I Googled it and I gave her all of them. When hell freezes over on the 12th of never, not in a sextillion years. That's more than a quintillion. Because, I wanted to make sure I wasn't going there even in any of my next lives either. Now, I know what you may be thinking. That was a little dramatic, Christina. But I figure, if the president can do it, why can't I?
I imitated, my wife gets very upset when I do this. She said, darling, it's not presidential. I said, yeah, but people like it. But no, you look at the weightlifting where 18 years it stands, and they have this young woman and her parents are right where you are in the front row, and they're so proud of her, and it's like 209 pounds, and she's going to lift that. The record stood for 18 years, and they put an eighth of an ounce here and an eighth of an ounce here, little tiny little bit, and she's going to do it. Mom, I love you. I'm going to do it for you, Mom. And she goes, and she lifts, and she gets it, and Mom, I'm going to do it, Mom. Can't do it. And then a guy comes along, or a gal, or whatever. A transitioned person comes along. And he was a failed weightlifter as a man, but he comes along, 206 pounds. They put the little thing on, and he goes, boom, boom. And breaks the record like by 119 pounds.
So, in the words of Donald, not the president, but the duck,